our institutions will go from what is referred to in banking as omni-channel banking to ubiquitous banking, which is contextual and behavioral and so on, which I will explain, into hybrid banking and looking at sustainability in society. This is 5.0. This is the future of the financial institutions. So I have 10 rules, and let's look at rule number 1. Rule number 1 is strategy. What should be our strategy in financial institutions going forward? And that strategy should be about human, behavioral, contextual, and experiential. So all new banking products should need to be like that. So they shouldn't be just product, it should be more behavioral driven, and it should immerse ourselves. That is number 1. Number 2 is foundational principles of design. Now, in our program, when we come to the full program that we start next month, we'll go into design thinking and how that works. But the fundamental issue here is very simple, is that in every business, including the banking and finance business, we need to go back to the foundational design principles in which it was created. Ask yourself the question that if today Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Jeff Bezos, Jack Ma was to come in and start a financial institution, what would they think like? They will not think like you. They will think entirely differently. They'll say, well, what is the utility of banking all about? Let's go back to the basics. And we have 3 elements. We have a stored value structure. Our bank account structure is stored value. The second is moving money. And the third is lending and credit. And that's it, folks. Build a box around it, a wallet around it, put it on the cloud, put it on your mobile, and that's a bank. That is why Alibaba would be the biggest bank in the world. Not because they have assets or specific knowledge or something. It's because they are thinking differently in terms of foundational design. And the core utilities of banking, what I just mentioned, are the reasons. So the future of banking is not just banks. I already mentioned that. Tech companies, hybrids, looking at fintech, and looking at unicorns in completely different spaces that we haven't even thought about today. Like Apple can go into healthcare, and new financial institutions can start, being the next leader in telepresence, or the next leader in voice technology, or the next leader in some other element like that. Nothing to do with banking. But because it's an extension, they have data, they have access, they have reach, they have resources, they have financial structures, they can move forward from there. Another rule for all of you bankers out there on this particular call: stop hiring bankers. Start hiring people who are not. First rule of the thumb: start firing your bankers. And if you're not firing them, retrain them and redevelop them. And so this is how rule number 3 starts coming in. So anthropologists and behavioral scientists and people like that, they come in. Rule number 6: when you think banking now, think scale. Don't think tech, not banks. Think tech, not banks. So what we need to do is build on that. And how would a technology person think? How would Jeff Bezos think? How would Jack Ma think? That's what CEOs need to think like, not like banks. And that's the difference of the future. Rule number 7 is to apply 10x thinking, not 10%. 10% is fine. It will not sustain you in the future because your competitors are thinking 10x. And I showed you some examples in the past. Start changing cost structures. Think, how can I give something for free? Think WhatsApp. Think Instagram. Think, what can we do to give our services for free, and then build infrastructure and services around that. Because sooner or later, if you're going to be charging something and if they're creating an arbitrage in that, somebody will find a way to do that. Banks hold a lot of money at less than 1% in terms of the interest that they pay. And they give out money at 16, 17, 18, and in some cases 24, 25%, either on credit card or high interest loans, or giving them to startups and so on. This is the delta, and they're playing in the middle. Now, if a fintech comes in and gives you the money at 6%, you get 6%, 8% deposit, or you can lend it at 10%. They are happy with the 10, 3, 4, 5% delta in terms of earning. They don't need the 16, 18%. So the banks are extremely vulnerable right now, and that rule has to change. Think free, think platform, think ecosystem, think Alibaba and Ant Financial, think Tencent, think Jeff Bezos and Amazon, because that's going to be the future. And rule number 9 is anything that's non-touch is going to explode. QR codes, augmented reality codes, building scale because of that and through that. Voice-based activation, all digital onboarding. Do you know that less than 10% of the international banks in the US and Europe, less than 10%, have complete digital onboarding, which is touchless and so on. And last but not the least is focus on core. 80% of your focus has to be on your base level business. Optimize that. Think 10x in terms of cost savings. Do all of that on your core. But then go edge. Take off on the edge. And I think that is the future. And this is what the hybrid of the future is all about. And you create tech giants, you create fintechs, and you build the future in this whole environment.